So I wanted to talk about compromise, as I think that when I look at my own personal life and so many of my great friends, how easy it is to allow compromise to come into our life on a daily basis. And so often we say that we want to create greater results or we want to be a better person. And we set these great goals for ourselves, not having great systems to back up those goals. Then we allow little things like compromise to sneak into and creep into our life. And I have a great woman that was a great mentor of mine for a really long time, whether she knows it or not. I learned so much from her, and there was one great story that she shared that I will never forget. And she was talking about compromise. She was talking about making a batch of brownies. And she mentioned she had a little dog, Fufu, and that he made a little mess in the house. And so instead of just cleaning it up and putting it in the trash can, she decided to throw it in her mix of brownies as she was mixing up her brownies, and thought, well, I guess that's maybe not the best place, but they're the same color, so I'll just keep mixing. In fact, I'll just add in a little bit more batter. A little bit more brownie mix won't hurt, and it'll cover up the little bit of poop. And she continues to mix and makes these brownies. And of course, no person in their right mind would be excited to have one of these brownies. I mean, would you? No, of course not. Why? Because there's a little bit of poop in there. And it makes me think how many of us have allowed just a little bit of poop into our life, just a little bit of compromise, just a little bit of, even though I said that I wasn't going to have any more alcohol, it's just a little sip isn't going to hurt. Just a little bit. Nobody's going to know about it. I'll just go to that website one more time, but nobody's going to know about it. I'll hang out with that one friend that I know isn't really a great influence on me, but it's just one time, Rachel. It's not going to hurt. I'm just going to make this stop one more time after work. My wife doesn't need to know. My friends don't need to know. And I know for myself, there's so many areas on a daily basis for compromise to come back into our life. And some of them are easy and some of them are harder. Some are, bigger tasks to overcome. And I found for myself that at one point, I was over here on this side, looking at people thinking, oh, I'll never be like that person. I would never talk like that person. I would never dress like that person. Can you imagine? I would never take my kids through a fast food, drive-through restaurant. I remember when my husband and I, when we were young and silly and immature and thinking we would never let our kids, eat French fries from, any restaurant. Because why? Because we wanted to be healthy. And fast forward, it wasn't that long until there we were going through the drive-through, getting our little Happy Meals. But if you've ever found yourself pointing the finger or saying, I would never be like that, chances are you probably already are. You just might not be aware of it. Because you've allowed just a little bit of compromise, and just a little bit becomes a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and it continues to add on into these areas of our life where sometimes we're so blind that we're not even aware that we've become that person that we said we never would be. We started acting like somebody we thought we would never be like. I know as a Christian, I can't tell you how many times where I know what my standards are and I know what my beliefs are and I know what I believe, but then you start to compromise just a little bit. I'll just hang out with this person just a little bit. They're not going to have more influence on me. I'm rooted. I've got this. But association is one of the greatest things that causes us to think and act and do the things that we do, to move the way that we do. And so when I think about areas of my life where I've allowed a little compromise in, the sad thing about that is once you start to add just a little bit, it becomes more and more and more. And you used to be on one side and now you're on the complete opposite side. I mean, I could remember, being at the gym and, just there for my workout, but hearing the lyrics to the music that they play at the gym thinking, well, I can't control that. It's not my gym. But I realized I can control what I allow in my eyes and my ears. I could put little earbuds in and listen to my own music. And that little form of association, that little bit of compromise, because it's maybe music that I personally wouldn't listen to on my own time, starts to feed a thought. And whatever thought that I think on long enough then becomes an action, because I started thinking about it and it caused me to move a certain direction. I mean, think about it. How many times do you listen to music and it puts you in a certain mood? And then all of a sudden your actions change because of your influences. And so I would encourage you to think about where are areas in your life that you've allowed compromise in. Because I realized that once you start to go down that path of compromise, you start to desensitize your spirit. Me being a Christian saying that, yes, I want to hear from God. Well, the challenge is, how can I hear from him if I've allowed so much compromise in my life that I can't even hear his voice? And so it starts in these little, tiny little areas where we're completely deceived. We're completely deceived. And we just go just a little bit further. And before we know it, we've compromised so much that we don't even recognize ourselves when we look in the mirror.